everybody. This is Joe with Bridgebane Clear. We're here at SHOT Show 2018, and we're here with Duane Liptak. Duane has recently announced that he's running for the National Rifle Association for the Board of Directors. So, Duane, why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit?
I'm Duane Liptak. I am the Executive Vice President for MagPul Industries. I am a Marine veteran of 12 years, got out of that and into the gun industry, so I've been in, worked for Brownells first. I've been with MagPul for 6 years. Started there working training and some product development stuff, and worked my way up through the organization. Happy to be here. I've been involved in firearms all my life. My first actual real job was during high school as a gunsmith, so first job in the industry. Packing groceries doesn't really count, but my first job in the industry, gunsmith at 17, in firearms my entire life, hunter, shooter, competitive shooter, the whole thing, and it's always been very near and dear to me, and the NRA has always been part of that as well. In Colorado, we did a lot of work with the NRA as far as recall elections, fighting the magazine capacity and background check legislation there. We do some work with them on the federal level as well, and we work cooperatively on a lot of things, but I'd like to be in a position now where I have the opportunity to influence kind of how things go. So a seat on the board gives me a vote, gives me a say, allows me to have more influence on what the organization does and what we work on and how it represents the interests of the gun owners and members at large.
Awesome. What gave you this idea that you wanted to, hey, I'm going to make a run at this? Like, what was your main motivation for doing this?
Well, see, like I said, I've worked with the NRA, and so I understand the organization. I see a lot of the things that they do that is very, very positive for firearms owners all over the country. They don't talk about a lot of that, so there's a messaging gap where the good things that they are doing, they aren't talking about for whatever reason. And there's also some things where the messaging that they do put out and the direction of the organization, I think, can use a little more, a little nudge in the right direction as far as the issues that are near and dear to my heart. And I know a lot of the folks that I associate with and are part of the industry, definitely.
Right on. That's I think it's really important to inform all the people that are involved in the NRA of what's going on, so they they get involved and they get behind you guys. So what I'm sure you have a lot of things that you want to accomplish if you get voted into the board. Like, what's one of the first things that you want to you kind of want to dive into right away?
Some of the things are not very sexy, unfortunately, and the hot button issue that folks may want to hear about. But one of the biggest threats we have to our gun rights actually has to do with gubernatorial elections as we go into the fall here. So we have a few key states that if we lose those to Democratic governor control, we could see some redistricting, which would affect the legislative balance in the House. It would be almost impossible to have a Republican House of Representatives again, which is a very serious threat to firearms rights. So that's a very big issue, and it's not a very sexy one. There's a lot of things like suppressor deregulation. We also need short barrel rifle reform as far as the NFA items. I don't think that we're ever going to have the votes in the near or immediate future to say, hey, we're going to repeal the NFA, right? But there's a lot of things that are just silly at this point. Suppressors there's no reason that they're regulated the way they are. Short-barreled rifles, we've made a mockery essentially of the NFA restrictions on short-barreled rifles with the whole the arm braces and things like that. So that shows how silly those things are. Those are antiquated, and the idea behind them was flawed to begin with. So we need to just move past that, deregulate all of that sort of thing. Repealing the Hughes Amendment, open the registry, things like that. Those are issues for me. The biggest thing as well, and those certainly are granular issues, but we've got an opportunity with the Republican president, with the administration we have now, to roll back some regulatory things that don't even necessarily require legislative action, which is a big opportunity right now that I think we need to be capitalizing on that and pushing some reforms in a big way, certainly with the ATF, with their regulations and things like ITAR that affect the industry.
Yep.
Those are big issues that we don't need legislative help on. And now that we do, it's a very tight balance, but what we can accomplish, we certainly need to be working to take back some ground that's been lost. We lose these things incrementally over the years. Since 1934, it's been clawed inch at a time.
Yep.
We lose things. And yet we have to, I think, adjust our mentality to, I want to have an all, let's get it all right now. I want to take miles at a time.
Right.
But if we can take inches constantly, we'll get there.
Absolutely. So it sounds from all that, it sounds like a lot of your short-term goals really follow into your long-term goals. Like, just kind of, hey, brick by brick type of thing, and all of those end up being all-inclusive in what you want to accomplish right away.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The biggest thing I think that will help the gun owners in the country right now, as a long-term goal, is that we got to resist this. There's a demonizing kind of attempt by the left to say that firearms are bad, and even making a finger gun in school can get you detention and things like that. That's ridiculous. I'd like to see firearms education in schools, because it's a safety issue, just like bicycle safety and pool safety and driver's education, things like that. It's a safety thing, so it should be taught that way.
Absolutely.
No matter how you feel about firearms are in the world, so it should, kids should be educated about firearm safety, so that's something I would love to see, and I don't want to see the stigma that we currently attach to it. So it's a part of my life on a daily basis, and it's part of my kids and my family and my friends' lives. And I just think it needs to be more normalized, as if that's what you choose to do. If firearms ownership is something that you choose to exercise, then it shouldn't be a demonizing or a stigma attached to that.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Absolutely. What if somebody wants more information about you, or about more information about what you're trying to accomplish? Do you have a website or anything?
Absolutely. Duane Liptak Jr. NRA.com. My full bio is on there, as well as all my position statements and kind of where I'm coming from on the issues and what I'd like to do as a member of the board, and why I undertook this venture in the first place.
Absolutely. And so if somebody wants to help you out, like they believe in what you want to accomplish, how would somebody, or how would they go about casting a ballot, or for the people that aren't informed?
So if you're a life member of the NRA, or if you've been an annual member for enough consecutive years, a ballot will show up in your magazine, whatever NRA publication that you receive. The opportunity is there. There are 35 candidates there. 25 will make it to the board. The most impact you have is by voting for as few candidates as you really feel strongly about. That has the most impact on the overall election. I would say also there's some folks that are dissatisfied with what either the NRA's messaging or the way they go about things, or their stances on a lot of things. And the way to change that is to become a member, to become a voting member, to become a life member, or get that annual membership for enough years to have a vote, to have a say. The only way to change, if you don't like something the organization is saying, the only way to change it is to be a member, to be active, to hold the board and the permanent staff accountable, to be an involved member. And that's the way that we're going to, we have less than 5 million members in the NRA, 100-some million gun owners in the United States. If we double that number, the folks that are very vested and want to be active in steering and guiding the organization, it'll be an extremely powerful force, and it'll be very hard to resist.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time. We know you're a pretty busy guy. Thanks again.
Thank you for the
opportunity.
opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you guys have it. Check his stuff out. See if that's something interested to you guys. Thank you.